Hi, I'm Bill DeVille, host of United States of Americana on The Current. Today we're talking about Sturgill Simpson. He's our essential artist this week. One thing about Sturgill, you won't be confused with anybody else when your name is Sturgill. I guess many call him Stu, but John Sturgill Simpson is his full name. And it's probably a good thing he didn't go by John Simpson. There's probably a million of them, but there's only one Sturgill Simpson. After he got out of high school, Sturgill joined the service. He joined the Navy, to be exact. He spent 3 years ended up on a Navy frigate, and he was in the Pacific Ocean for 3 full years. Sturgill Simpson was honorably discharged from the Navy after his stint, and then he moved out to Seattle, and I think his first job, believe it or not, he was a greeter at the IHOP. I bet you there was some songs in there somewhere. After that, he went back to Kentucky and reconnected with his roots in the bluegrass state and started listening a lot to people like Ralph Stanley. He really enjoyed his music. Sturgill Simpson then moved to Salt Lake City, worked on the railroad for a while, which makes perfect sense because if you listen to some of his albums, he's got a couple songs about railroads, like, let me think, Railroad of Sin, amongst others. He wasn't really into working on the railroad a whole bunch, so he started making music again at his wife's suggestion. I don't think he's ever looked back. Sturgill made his debut release called High Top Mountain in 2013, and that was followed by Meta-Modern Sounds and Country Music, and then A Sailor's Guide to Earth, where he kind of reflected a little bit on some of those years he spent in the service, and that was an album that he made for his son. A Sailor's Guide to Earth came out on Atlantic Records, and actually it was the #1 U.S. country album for a time, though, oddly enough, he received little to no airplay on the country radio stations. Sturgill spent a few years kicking around the Americana scene. He did meet people like Chris Stapleton, and he also made an album with Tyler Childers, which was released just a few weeks ago. Who's also from Kentucky. They're really proud of Sturgill Simpson in Kentucky. They call him a Kentucky Colonel. Same thing as Colonel Sanders, and that's like the highest honor next to being governor. He dropped a track just the other day, came totally out of the blue, and it's called Sing Along, and this one sounds really different for Sturgill. It's more in the line of, say, the Black Keys than Bill Monroe. Sturgill Simpson's new album is called Sound and Fury, and there's also an anime which comes out with this as well, and that'll be released in late September on Netflix. One thing about Sturgill Simpson, he really kind of marches to his own drummer and heads into different musical adventures than you might expect. In this one, well, only time will tell how it's going to be received, but I have this feeling that this one's going to do pretty well for Sturgill Simpson. You can hear artists like Sturgill Simpson on my program United States of Americana. It airs Sunday mornings from 8 to 10 Central on The Current.